Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today. For any of you new to our channel, my name is Jonathan Cunningham and I'm part of the team here at Cunning Fitness. If this is your first video that you've been watching, please subscribe down below. Please hit the like button if you find this information useful. And by all means, please don't hesitate to leave a comment with any questions you may have or requests for future content that you would like to see us cover down the road. At the end of the day, most of our material comes directly from requests that we get from all of you out there. So by leaving a comment, you're only going to help us fill out our library of content with things that you find more useful. Now in today's video, what we're going to go over is a concept that really anyone and everyone should be aware of before they begin any kind of exercise program. And that is, what exactly should your first few weeks and really your first month of workouts look like as far as how you schedule everything out. Now typically what happens is people get really excited and really enthusiastic to get into better shape, and quite frankly they just do too much too soon. So what we're going to do here is, in a few moments, I'm going to overlay a hypothetical calendar of what your first month should look like if you are truly a beginner to exercise, or if you've been away from it for an extended period of time. Now when I say extended, that could be 3 months or more. So typically people don't fall out of shape quickly, but if you've been away from regular exercise for a few months, you're probably going to be closer to square one than where you were when you stopped. So this video is going to be a whole lot of me just talking as I walk you through this calendar, but please be patient, grab a pen and paper to take notes, or open up another window on your computer so you can make notes as we go through this process. And again, if you run into any questions as you watch this, please just leave it in the comments and I'll get back to you, or somebody else from our team will get back to you as soon as we possibly can. So with that, let's get to it. Now at first glance, I hope the first thing that many of you out there realize when you look at this calendar is just how many rest days there are compared to work days. Now this tends to be the biggest mistake that most people make when they first start working out, is the excitement, the enthusiasm, and the ambition to get started. Typically, most people just do too much too soon and they run into a setback. Either they get burnt out because it's just impossible to maintain. They feel overwhelmed with trying to work all this into their schedule. They feel like they're losing family time, social time, just simply time to themselves. Or two, they start to feel a physical breakdown because they're just simply pushing their body too hard before it's really ready. So especially in the first week, it's important not to do too much too quickly to allow your body a chance to acclimate to this new activity in your day-to-day life. So the first thing I want you to keep in mind is that this calendar is purely hypothetical. It's not perfect. You don't have to start on June 1st of 2020. That is simply the first full month that we have available at the point that we're going to post this video. But if you're watching this 2-3 years down the road, you don't have to stop now simply because you missed the starting day. This is just to give you an idea of how a general month should look, and we're going to walk you through step by step so that you understand why this pattern is so important. So the first day I want you to pay attention to is Monday, June 1st. Now this is a 20-minute cardio workout. But for a beginner who has not been working out either ever or in a while, a 20-minute cardio workout simply means you get outside, you get moving, and you do 20 minutes of activity. Now that could be walking either outdoors or in a gym, on a treadmill. It could just be 20 minutes of moving around if you typically are sedentary and you're sitting most of the day. It could be 20 minutes just floating and swimming gently in a pool, depending on the time of year. This first day is really just about getting yourself up, committing to 1 day of exercise, and setting a timer and making sure that you move for 20 minutes before you stop. And the other part of this day that's so important are the 2 rest days that come immediately after it. What does not get talked about enough is just how important rest and recovery is, especially when you're doing things that your body is not used to. When we're resting, that is essentially when your body's recovering, your muscles are healing, and your system is getting stronger so that you can handle more work the next time you go to exercise. So if you don't rest enough, you're setting yourself further back than if you just take it slow and buy yourself a little bit more time. So after this first 20-minute cardio day, you're going to take 2 full days of rest and recovery. You can be active, you can certainly move around and do things that you otherwise wouldn't, but just don't go overboard and don't specifically worry about setting time aside to physically exercise. The next day you're going to do that is on Thursday the 4th, or whatever day that may be for you, depending when you start this routine. Now, this cardio workout is your opportunity to, one, extend the time, so you're going to do 30 minutes instead of 20, and depending how your body felt after the first workout, if you had noticeable joint fatigue, any kind of pain or sensitivity, you might want to take it a little bit slower, change whatever the movement or the workout is that you're doing, and see how your body responds to that. On the flip side, if you felt great coming out of that first day, nothing hurt, nothing felt sore, use this as an opportunity to take the intensity up and see if you can do a little bit more than what you did that first day. Maybe you walk a little faster. Maybe if you're on an elliptical or a treadmill in a gym, you take the resistance up a little, you raise the elevation. This is your first opportunity to get creative and see what exactly intense feels like for you. And then following this workout, you're going to take another full 2 days of rest and recovery to again see how your body adjusts, see how everything feels, and make sure that you're not overdoing it too soon in this process. So that's going to put you at your third day, which is again just cardio for 30 minutes. At this point, hopefully you feel as though you're starting to build a regular pattern of activity, because this is essentially your third workout in a 7-day period, which is pretty fantastic if you have not been exercising for quite a long time. And this is your last chance to just get your body moving before you start to really dial it up and work in strength movements. So do as much as you can, push as hard as you can, and listen to your body as you go through the process. Joints are always going to be your first red flag that you're doing something too intensely. So if you feel pain or discomfort at any joint, your ankles, your knees, your hips, anywhere in your spine, your shoulders, elbows, or wrists, that's a clear sign of your body telling you to take it slow. If everything feels okay though, push as hard as you can until you hit the end of those 30 minutes. And then again, look forward to 2 full days of rest and recovery before we get to your 4th day, which is going to be the first strength workout that you're going to do as part of this program. Now, when you look at the calendar, the easy color indicators, blue is cardio, green is strength. So when you see anything in the color green here, that is going to be a strength workout specifically for whatever is listed. So this first day, it says beginner leg workout. Now this could be a couple different options. If you're in a gym and you have access to machines, you could use the selectorized machines that are the single motion cable machines that you'll typically see dedicated to one or only a select handful of muscle groups. For instance, you'll see a seated leg curl, or a prone leg curl, or a leg press. Those are selectorized machines that tend to be built more for a physical therapy standpoint, but they can also be useful for a beginner who's just trying to figure out the basic movements of exercise. If you don't have access to a gym, or you just don't want to go to one, I'd highly recommend just follow one of the workouts that we have listed here on our own YouTube channel, because we will walk you through the entire process of what you should be doing as you're trying to get yourself involved in this next step of exercise. So on this day, whether you're in a gym doing it on your own or you're following one of our workouts, really pay attention to how you're moving, how things feel, and don't overdo it when it comes to weight. I wouldn't recommend adding any additional weight. If you're using a machine, keep it on the absolute lowest settings, just so you can get used to the movement and how everything feels. If you're doing body weight exercises, do everything at a modified level. Don't go through a full rep, and don't hold any additional weight that's going to put more pressure on your joints and your spine as you're trying to get used to this. From a time standpoint, if you're doing this on your own, no more than 20 to 30 minutes. If you're following one of our workouts, just follow the advice that we give and do it as it's posted. Don't try to push extra hard, even if you feel really great when you get to the end of the initial workout. Again, most people set themselves back because they do too much too quickly. So just take it easy, and if you get to the end and you feel great, perfect. Just enjoy another 2 days of rest, and then on your 5th day, you're going to go back to just cardio. Now, the reason we're going back to cardio at this point is coming out of that first strength workout, you may feel muscles and joints in a way that you haven't in quite a long time, if ever. You may have some noticeable muscle soreness when you're going up and down stairs or trying to sit. You may feel some discomfort or some tightness that feels as though it needs to be stretched out. So going back to cardio 2 days after this first strength day is going to give you the option, one, to loosen things back up, and also to see how does your body adapt coming off of that kind of muscle soreness. So push as hard as you can. Follow the same basic structure you did for the first 3 cardio days, in that if you're in a gym, use a piece of equipment you're comfortable with. If you're outside, just make sure that you're not pushing yourself too hard. But ultimately, this is another self-check day that you're just trying to stay active, maintain your routine, and do the most that you can. After this day, you're only going to take 1 day of rest, and you'll notice that pattern holds up for this entire week, where it'll be 1 day of rest and 1 day of work. Part of this is to start to trick your body into increasing your metabolism. So our muscles are built around routines and patterns, and when you can vary that pattern, your body is forced to respond and make progress. So at this point, you've had 2 full weeks of a regular 1 day on, 2 days off. This 3rd week is going to significantly change how your body is recovering and responding to extensive exercise, because you're essentially cutting your recovery time in half. So after that 1 day of rest, you're going to go into a strength-based workout focused on your pull muscles. So what pull means in a nutshell is your posterior chain, or every muscle you would use to pull something towards you. So these muscles would include your hamstrings, part of your hip and glute network, pretty much everything up your back, from your rhomboids to your lats into your shoulder complex, and then also your biceps. These are the muscles we use to shorten the gap between an object and ourselves, and these are the muscles that are primarily responsible for our posture and supporting proper joint alignment, especially as we get older. Most people overdo it on the push muscles and tend to neglect their pull mechanisms. That's why if you look ahead, you'll see this entire first month, the only strength work you're doing is either leg-based or pull-based. And that is very, very intentional, so that you can start to correct any kind of postural imbalances or any issues that you might have with your joint stability before you start to work in push-based movements. So in this 3rd week, you're going to do a strength-based pull workout on that first day. So again, follow one of our listed workouts if you need some help. You're going to take 1 day of rest. You're going to do 30 minutes of cardio on the middle day of the week, 1 day of rest, and then you're going to end that week with another beginner leg strength workout. So this week is going to give you a huge shift in your rest and recovery and the focus of your intensity, because you're doing 2 strength days and only 1 cardio day. And it's really going to start to dial in the focus on building muscle strength and stability through all of your joints. So coming out of that last leg day, you're going to have 1 rest day, and then you're going to go into your first joint day, where you're going to do strength and cardio on the same day. So it's listed here as Sunday the 21st. That is going to be a strength pull workout, immediately followed by no more than 20 minutes of cardio. Now this is something that a lot of folks tend to get wrong, or they're taught wrong, in that cardio should always come after you do any kind of strength work. Think of it as simply as this. When you do something strength related, the goal is to become stronger. So you're doing a movement that requires a lot of control, stability, and a lot of times additional weight. The last thing that you would want is to be fatigued or already compromised when you go into that kind of exercise. Cardio, on the other hand, the goal is to get yourself to a point of fatigue and then continue pushing through that fatigue so that you build endurance. So it really doesn't make any sense to do cardio first because you're just screwing up the pattern for both of those intents. So the first thing is make sure you warm up, then go into your strength work, and then follow it up with cardio, and try to keep the cardio related to whatever you're doing muscle focus wise. So for this pull day, if you're in a gym setting, the two machines that would really be ideal for doing cardio would either be a rowing machine, because that is all pull-based movement, or you could use an elliptical and just focus on using your arms a little bit more than your legs. If you're outside, it's a little bit trickier, but just focus on not overdoing it with sprints or any kind of really intense leg breakdown movements like hill running. That way you can get your heart rate up, but you're also not overly exhausting an entirely different chain of muscles. Now, since this is your first combined day of strength and cardio, odds are you're going to be a little more fatigued and need a little bit more recovery. So you're going to have 2 full days to bounce back after this before you go into your next joint day, which is going to be a leg strength workout, and then again, no more than 20 minutes of additional cardio tacked on at the end. This should be easier to find a combination because you're going to have a lot more options to continue pushing your legs on the cardio focus, whether you're inside or outside. Coming off of this day is going to be perhaps the hardest turnaround that you have at this point in the program because there is no rest. It's going to be your first back-to-back day sequence where the very next day you're getting back to it and you're doing 30 minutes of cardio. Now expect to feel sore, expect to really not want to do this. This day is more about the mental hurdle of building out a more thorough routine and getting yourself to move when you really don't want to do it. So success here won't be determined on how hard you can push. It's simply getting yourself up and getting yourself to do something. So try to move for the full 30 minutes if you can. If you feel any kind of joint discomfort or pain, stop early. But again, the most important thing here is just getting past that mental hurdle of knowing that the day after you work out, you can get right back to it whether you want to or not. Coming off of that, you're going to have another full 2 days to rest and recover. And then that's going to put you into your 5th week, which is the first time that you're going to be doing 2 back-to-back sequences with limited rest in between. And this is going to be the first week that you work out more than you rest. And for a lot of people out there, the ultimate goal is to only work out 3 or 4 days a week. Not too many people are overly excited about working out 5 or more days every single week. So this is a huge stepping stone just to get to a point where you're more active than you're not. And in the big picture, if you follow this program to a T, it's only going to take you 4 weeks to get to the point that you're probably aiming for. And by following this pattern, you're going to be able to get there with a limited amount of risk, a lot more opportunity to correct problems before they spiral into an injury, and it's going to give you a chance to really mentally acclimate to this process so that you don't feel as overwhelmed, you don't feel as though you're sacrificing more than what you're willing to, and hopefully it becomes something that you look forward to so that you can maintain this process moving forward. But on that final week, you're going to have a strength-based leg day followed by cardio, 1 rest day, then a pulling strength day followed by another day of cardio, and then you're going to have 2 full rest days. And that's it, folks. That is the first 5 weeks of what you should be focused on if you would consider yourself a beginner or somebody trying to get back into exercise after an extended time away. Now, as I said multiple times as we went through this process together, this calendar is purely hypothetical, and the most important thing for you to pay attention to is the pattern so that you make sure that you're getting enough rest compared to how much you're working out. If you need to make modifications along the way, that's perfectly okay. Just really do your best not to modify or shorten any of the rest gaps between any two workouts. If you need to add a day or two of rest because you're just not quite feeling up to getting back to it, or your schedule won't allow, that's perfectly all right. Just again, really don't rush this process and don't do too much too quickly. Patience will ultimately pay off in the end, and if you're willing to go through this process as written, at the end of your first month, you're going to be at a point where you can safely and efficiently work out 4 days a week. And at that point, hopefully it's part of your normal routine and it doesn't feel like such a burden. But again, I want to thank all of you for taking the time to join us. Hopefully you found this lesson worthwhile and helpful as you try to get started. Please, if you haven't already, hit that like button at the bottom if you found this information useful. Please subscribe so you stay up to date with all the videos that we're trying to post as quickly as we can. And please let us know if there is anything we can do to help any of you out there. But I hope you're doing well. Thank you again for taking the time to support us, and we'll see you again real soon. Thanks, folks. Bye.